I'm Scott. I teach digital imaging at UH, and I'm from Columbus, Ohio. And I studied at the School of the Art Institute in Chicago. I got started in art because I was in a constant state of denial, and I thought I needed to be in business at the Ohio State University in 1990. I was playing in a Grateful Dead cover band for 6 years, drums, and a lot of my friends ran in different types of artistic circles and were creative in different ways, and I played drums since 6th grade. So needless to say, business didn't work out. So again, I finally sort of found my way into the College of Communication at Ohio State and started studying mass media, and in particular this new sort of emerging technologies, which at that time was in fact the internet. And so we started looking at the internet, looking at cellular telephone, looking at these kind of new emerging technologies and their effects. At Ohio State, the primary research was mass media effects and theory. So that made me kind of like start to think conceptually along these lines in academia. So the problem is most of the people I graduated from in 1992 from Ohio State were going into cellular telephone sales, because it was this wing of business, and of course they wanted to make money, which I wasn't interested in. Not that I wasn't interested in making money, but I wasn't interested in cellular telephone sales, and I wanted to make art. I wanted to work with images, because I've been studying what images mean. And so I started making photographs. And I started making photographs actually of the place I grew up, which was this suburban wasteland. Essentially watched the suburban wasteland come from space that was used to grow food into space that was used to park cars. And that's a very common transition of space. And as an individual sort of watching this happen, I didn't know how to react to it. So I started photographing it. And that became the portfolio that I got into graduate school with at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, where my life officially began. As an undergrad, this photographer named Dwayne Michaels I really like a lot. I used to go to the Wexner Center. Les Wexner is the owner of the Limited and the Gap and all of these other stores. Yeah, and he lives in Columbus, Ohio. So he gave a bunch of money to the Ohio State University to start this thing called the Wexner Center. So it had a library, and I would go there as an undergrad and constantly study. They had this huge photography section. So what brought me into photography, that's actually what brought me in, was street photographers from the 70s and 60s. Gary Winogrand, Dwayne Michaels, Lee Friedlander, Robert Frank, Robert Fichter, and then after that I started expanding. So I started basically copying them, emulating them, going out on the street with a camera with a wide-angle lens, not even looking through the viewfinder, and shooting constantly, all black and white film, and coming back and then editing from that. So from there I learned how to edit. I learned what an image is and what else it is and what else it is, and that would be Minor White. So I studied people like Weston and Minor White and classic, early 20th century, mid 20th century photographers. Minor White especially has this sort of attitude of this zen that's inherent in photography. So I thought that the camera was essentially an extension of my brain, or extension of my inner feelings, and I still kind of want that, although I don't necessarily believe that anymore.